Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Yeah, sorry Frank Sinatra for ruining your song. But hey, that's what Bitcoin's been doing the last couple of days. It's been flying to the moon. And if you have not got in on some of these altcoin action, it's been pumping like crazy. Shame on you because I told you guys to buy. Just kidding. To be fair, I have not told you guys to buy. The last few days I've been mostly focused on training videos just because the market had been boring. Took a little break from the daily updates. So if you're a follower of my channel and you didn't buy, well, that's my fault because I did not tell you to buy. However, in this video, we're going to discuss my plan for the upcoming weeks, kind of putting all of the pieces of the puzzles together, or the pieces of the puzzle together, along with the clues that are kind of out there between the Bitcoin dominance chart, the Ethereum chart, and the Bitcoin chart, and the S&P 500 chart to kind of decide what our game plan is for the upcoming days and weeks going forward. And if you guys are liking the content, as always, please remember to like and subscribe, and let's go. It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. Alright, so first off, this video is going to be a little different than most of my videos. I'm going to try to keep it around 10 minutes, but I'm just going to go over kind of what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at, and what I'm watching. Now, obviously, I'll leave a link in the description to my Telegram group. If you want to join that, that's where I'm giving more up-to-the-minute analysis and updates on kind of what I'm entering or what I'm looking for as far as trades, the coins I'm eyeing, the levels I'm eyeing on those coins, and so forth. But I just want to kind of give you a quick update. And what I mean by different is normally I actually don't go from start to finish on my videos just in one take. I kind of do a chart, I stop, I get to the next chart, I stop, you know, just to kind of make the videos, I guess, so I don't ramble quite so much, although it winds up happening anyway. I'm already doing it right now. But anyway, this is just going to be one solid take all the way through. And the first thing I want to mention was just my Bitcoin thoughts. Now, the big important thing as far as this is, so this is the daily chart, and we're in this large falling wedge, right, which we just moved out of as of yesterday. Yesterday was officially the breakout candle with a body that closed above. If you zoom in a little bit more, which I can do when I edit the video, you'll see that we also had this double bottom forming, and this white line I put here is the neckline. And here's just a couple thoughts I put in my Telegram group. I said today's daily candle looks like to be a retest of the double bottom neckline, and just so you guys know, that's at around 21,750. And so you can see that the wick at the bottom of this candle came down and is perfectly so far. The candle doesn't close for another 3 hours, but so far it's a bullish retest of that double bottom neckline. Also a bullish retest essentially of this giant falling wedge, which is our first clue as to an actual trend reversal, right? Because this is the daily chart. Now, granted, it's still a downtrend because until we put in a higher high than this last high inside the wedge, which is clear up around, you know, $32,000, you still had a high, a lower high, a lower high, and so forth. But breaking out of the wedge is the first good sign. Now, also on a previous video, I mentioned that if you go to the weekly chart, that the 200 SMA or 200 simple moving average is around 22,500 to 22,600 range. That's also a area marked by this orange trend line as an area of daily support and resistance. So what I'm looking for right now is Bitcoin needs to cool off some. If you go look at some of its indicators, which we're going to go over in a second when we get over to the Ethereum chart, which is kind of what's leading the altcoins right now. That's why we're going to look at that chart. It has news coming up next month, and it seems to me that right now Ethereum is kind of being the leading indicator as what to expect out of altcoins. But just wanted to point out those couple of things on the Bitcoin daily chart, as well as the fact that right now this pink and red one, moving average on my chart, the 50 SMA and EMA, those are currently what's acting as resistance. What I'm expecting at this point, and I could be wrong, maybe it'll have one push higher at first. We're kind of putting the clues together, but I would expect a short-term pullback to somewhere between this double bottom neckline again at around 21,750, or the daily or the 200 weekly moving average at around 22,500 to 600-ish, right? We go over to the SPX, which is the S&P 500. This is also the daily chart. We can see that we're at resistance. It closed at this level of resistance. You're going to see that as a common theme amongst a few of these charts, which is why I'm suggesting a short-term pullback. But what we're looking for on this, potentially at least, would be if it doesn't break through, which it did close about, I don't know, an hour ago or so my time. So, you know, it could break out tomorrow, bullish retest, and then, of course, we'll be looking for Bitcoin to go ahead and just push higher. What I offered as an option to my Telegram group was that maybe it pulls back into this green zone again, puts in another higher low, right? Low, higher low, maybe we get another higher low, and then we eventually break out. That's what I'll be watching for that. But as of right now, it closed at resistance. We go down to the ES1 chart. This was the S&P E-mini futures. Same thing, obviously. Closed at resistance. This is the one we'll be watching throughout the rest of the day. Because if you're a follower of my channel, then you would know that I've brought this chart up in the past, and I've mentioned that it's a 24/7, at least Monday through like early Friday. This trades, 24/7. So we can watch it even though the regular traditional SPX is closed for the day, the S&P 500. We could still watch this to see if it's able to break through this resistance, retest, and push higher. If so, that will be what will catapult Bitcoin for its next leg up. Of course, if it gets rejected and starts heading back this way, same as the SPX, we'll just be looking for a higher low, low, low. Maybe we can get a retest of this large falling wedge that moved out of, somewhere back down around here. In fact, I probably should put an alert right now while we're talking about it. Let's go ahead and do that. Add alert, right click, just create. That way I get an alert if it comes back down to these levels. I'll start looking to see if Bitcoin's also finding support at that point. And then we're going to hop over here to the Ethereum chart. This is the one I've been kind of watching as far as a good gauge as to maybe when to expect a small pullback, or at least some sort of a pullback / consolidation out of Bitcoin. Same thing as a lot of the charts that you pull up right now. You see that there kind of was these 3 drives of, I guess, bounces near support. The most recent one being what I would kind of call a double bottom right here, right? It broke out. This was the breakout level on a chart that I had posted previously, few days ago, and the measured move was hit, which was up here at around 1500. But I'm watching for right now is this major trend line up here, which if we zoom out, which I'm not going to do in this video, but you'll just have to, I guess, trust me that up around 1700 is pretty major resistance for Ethereum. And another thing, if you double click here and pull up this indicator that we call the money flow indicator, which I like to use a little bit more than I do the RSI, it's up here at 80. Now, 80 is not, obviously the highest it can go, and go up to 100, of course. But historically, this usually wants to cool off around this level. You can see here it did. Actually, my head's kind of in the way, but you can see that back here it started to cool off and had a pullback, a consolidation period. It can go higher because back here in March, it actually went as high as 92 or 93. So that would kind of support the idea that if we're going to get any, push higher, my assumption would be it would be one last push up to that major resistance level between like 1680 and 1700, and at that point cool off if we don't already start to sooner. But that doesn't mean that we're going to go back down to 0 or back down, super far. It just means that what I would be eyeing at that point is some sort of a retrace back down to some of these support levels that maybe, and even these moving averages too, where the 21's coming up and the 50, something back down here, and maybe this green box. Let me get my rectangle out here. Something back down maybe around here could make sense if Bitcoin sees a decent little pullback or the S&P 500 gets rejected. I'd be eyeing Ethereum again back down here at around 1300. I'm not saying it will for sure go back that far, but if you did get a little decent pullback out of Bitcoin, that could happen. Another area I would be eyeing would be around 14, say 20. So those are a couple areas, and you can always DCA in. But that's just kind of what I'm looking at as far as Ethereum goes. And then the last thing that I wanted to bring up in today's video is just kind of as far as my plan over the next few days to weeks. Now, over the next 24 hours to 48 hours, my plan is kind of what we've been talking about. I'm working under the assumption that most of these altcoins are starting to kind of peak in the short term, Ethereum being the leading indicator of that to me, that it needs to cool off, consolidate, possibly put in some sort of a retest. And if you pull up the Bitcoin dominance chart, which I talk about all the time on my channel, and just in, I guess to put it all in a nutshell, we know that generally if Bitcoin dominance is going down, that means that altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin. Doesn't always mean they're going up, but they are outperforming Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin dominance is going up, then Bitcoin is outperforming altcoins. Just means that if you were wanting to be in one or the other and not in a stable coin, if this is going down, you're better off being in some sort of an altcoin for the most part, at least most of the major caps. And if it's going up, you're better off being in a Bitcoin position. I bring that up to say that no matter what plays out over the next few weeks, as far as if Bitcoin retraces over the next day or two, and I start opening up some positions on some coins, which I'll talk about in a video later today, coins like Cardano, XRP, some of these coins, even SHIB. I know that's kind of a funny one to talk about, but I mean, hey, it does get a lot of hype around it. No matter what my plan is with these, I'm going to be very cautious and aggressive as far as taking profits on them, because if you look down here on Bitcoin dominance, this is the daily chart, but you can see that we're nearing major levels of support where historically Bitcoin dominance bounces. Again, we don't necessarily know that that's going to be horrible for altcoins. It really depends on what Bitcoin's doing. And I'll leave a link in the description to my Bitcoin dominance video. If you don't understand the concept of Bitcoin dominance, that would be a good watch for you to kind of get exactly how this chart works in correlation with altcoins and Bitcoin and so forth, as far as money flowing between the two or out of the market altogether, and etc. But what I guess I'm getting at is that as we near, you can kind of see there's a support level down here at around 41%, a major support zone, I guess you could say, between 39 and 40%. As we near these areas, this is the areas where I would be looking to get out of altcoins, or at least be very, very cautious with the positions that I have, because at this point, you never know what's going to happen, but historically, Bitcoin dominance does tend to bounce around these levels. It got rejected. I mentioned this in a previous video, that it was at this major level of resistance, and that if we got rejected, that could offer some good altcoin relief, and we've gotten that to this point. Doesn't mean it's over yet, but we're nearing some major support levels across some different trend lines that are here. We've got, price level support and resistance levels, and so I guess what I'm getting at is that's how I'm going to play it. I'm just going to remain cautious. But as far as just the overall market goes, and I'll update you guys some more later today, early tomorrow's video that I put out, I am bullish, especially for the next week or two, as far as the Bitcoin price. Some of the higher time frames are showing a lot of, promise. But in the short term, this is how I'm playing it. Again, see the link in the description for my Telegram group if you want to get a little bit more up-to-date analysis, or, I wouldn't say minute to minute, because sometimes I am busy, but just a little bit more relevant analysis as far as when I am or am not entering trades or taking profits and so forth. And then just to give you a quick sneak preview of what I will be discussing in my next video as far as coins that I'm watching, levels I'm watching on those coins and so forth. This is ICP, and I'll be discussing that it's broken out of this big falling wedge on the daily chart. Of course, we'll zoom in and look for entry ideas and pullback entry ideas, but we'll be talking about ICP. We'll be talking about XRP, which is a lot of people's favorite coin, right? That and Doge and SHIB. But anyway, a lot of people love their Ripple, Ripple. And last one that we'll be talking about will be Cardano, which also has, of course, its huge fan base. Same thing, kind of similar to ICP. It's broken out of this large falling wedge on the daily chart. We'll just zoom in and kind of discuss some of the levels I'm watching for on that chart. So look forward to that. All right, you gorgeous people, that is going to do it for today. As always, if you guys are liking the content, please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow. It's TAWITHMMK.